Hi everyone, my name is Wong Li. My number is X6068. My research title is The Influence of TikTok Influencers on UNIMAS Student Purchasing Decision. TikTok has become one of the most popular social media platforms globally, with over 1 billion active users, and a significant portion are aged between 18 to 24 years old. For university students, TikTok is more than entertainment. It's where they discover new trends, products, and brands. Influencers on TikTok produce creative, authentic content that often drives followers buying decision. For example, a study found that beauty influencers on TikTok influence around 74.6% of cosmetic purchase decisions among university students. So my study looked at how these influencers impact purchasing decisions, especially among UNIMAS students. Despite the fun and creativity on TikTok, there's a challenge. Many students struggle to separate genuine recommendation from paid promotions because influencers blend entertainment with advertising so seamlessly. This can lead to impulsive buying or spending on unnecessarily product driven by social pressure or fear of missing out. Yet, there's still limited research focusing on Malaysian university students, particularly at UNIMAS. Therefore, my research has three main objectives. First is to examine the extent of TikTok influencer impact on the purchasing decision of UNIMAS students. Second is to identify the key factors, for example, credibility, engagement, or content type that influence UNIMAS student trust in TikTok influencer. Third is to analyze the relationship between TikTok influencers, content strategies, and UNIMAS student buying behavior. For the research question, there are two research questions. First is to what extent do TikTok influencers impact the purchasing decision of UNIMAS students? Second is what factors, for example, credibility, engagement, or content type, contribute to UNIMAS student trust in TikTok influencers? This study is significant for several reasons. First, it helps marketers create ethical young consumers. Second, it helps students become more critical of influencers' content so they don't fall into impulsive spending. From an academic perspective, it contributes to the growing knowledge of digital marketing and young consumer behavior in Malaysia. It could also support policymakers in creating guidelines for ethical influencer marketing. However, the study has some limitations. It focuses only on UNIMAS students, so findings might not apply to other groups. It relies on self-reported data, which can sometimes be biased. It explores mostly short-term decisions, not long-term brand loyalty, and cultural factors unique to Malaysia might influence the result. Moving on to the literature review for my first research question. The first research question is to what extent do TikTok influencers impact the purchasing decision of UNIMAS students? Studies show that TikTok influencers significantly shape consumer behavior, especially among Gen Z and millennials. Authentic and entertaining content, particularly short videos under 15 seconds, drives engagement and increases the likelihood of purchase. In Malaysia, study confirmed that influencers strongly influence Gen Z purchasing habits. Young consumers trust recommendations from influencers they find reliable. However, there's still a gap in research focusing specifically on the unmasked context and on the psychological drivers like trust and fear of missing out. My research aims to fill these gaps by exploring localized insights. For my second research question, I look into what factors contribute to students' trust in TikTok influencers. Research highlights several key factors. First is credibility is crucial. Followers look for honesty, expertise, and reliability. High engagement rates like likes and comments signal authenticity and build trust. The quality and creativity of content also matter significantly. Another important factor is influencer brand fit. When influencers match well with the brands they promote, trust and purchase intentions increase. However, very few studies explore how these factors specifically impact UNIMA students. So my study contributes local evidence on what makes influencers trustworthy among Malaysian university students. For the theoretical framework, my study uses the agenda setting theory by McCombs and Sean. This theory explains that media does not necessarily tell people what to think, but it influences what people think about by highlighting certain issues repeatedly. On TikTok, influencers act like agenda setters by featuring specific products or trends, often enough that they become top of mind for viewers. So, my study applies this theory to see how repeated exposure to influencer content makes certain products seem important or trendy, and how that influences students' purchasing decision. My study used a quantitative research design. I will collect the data through a structured online survey distributed via Google Form, which is convenient for digitally savvy students. The survey includes questions measuring like how frequently students buy products recommended by TikTok influencers, and what factors make them trust those influencers, such as credibility, engagement, or authenticity. The data will be analyzed using statistical techniques like descriptive statistics, and a quantitative approach is suitable because it allows for objective and generally able insight about the patterns in students' behaviors. Finally, here's the research scope and sampling. This study focuses on undergraduate students at UNIMAS who are active TikTok users. Specifically, it looks at how much TikTok influencers affect their buying decision and the factors contributing to trust in influencers. The population includes UNIMAS students aged between 18 and 18 to 26 years old. I will use purposive sampling, selecting students who use TikTok at least 3 times a week, have made at least one purchase influenced by TikTok content in the past 6 months. Next is follow at least 2 influencers and have recently engaged with their content. This ensures that participants have relevant experience to provide meaningful insight for the study. Last is for the research framework. My title is The Influence of TikTok Influencer on UNIMAS Student Purchasing Decision. There are 2 research questions. First is to determine the extent to which TikTok influencers impact purchasing decision among UNIMAS students. Okay, I will go to find what is the frequency of purchases made after watching TikTok influencers content. And second is what type of product are commonly bought because of TikTok influencers. Second research question is to identify factors contributing to trust in TikTok influencers among UNIMAS students. Okay, which qualities make UNIMAS students trust a TikTok influencer, and how does trust affect their decisions to follow influencers' recommendation? The population of this research is UNIMAS undergraduate students who actively use TikTok. And I will use the sampling method is purposive sampling. The age 18 to 26 use TikTok more than 3 times per week and make at least one purchase influenced by TikTok in the last 6 months. Follow at least 2 TikTok influencers. And this research, I will use agenda setting theory, and the research instrument is structured questionnaire, and then data analysis is descriptive statistics, and use the software SPSS to analyze the data that I collect, and then finally we'll find the findings and result. This is my research framework. That's all from me. Thank you.